Hi everyone! Today I'm gonna show you an epoxy pouring trick applicable mostly on small projects. This trick is especially needed when you want to fill a mold or you want to pour a top coat and you don't want to apply any post-processing after that. So no planning, no sanding and no polishing. For instance, today I want to fill the back of this chessboard. The target is to fill all this gap but without leaking any epoxy over the edges. At the same time, I need to make sure that the board is perfectly level so the epoxy will touch the upper part of the edge on all the sides. Now, you might not have a perfectly level table, or even the tabletop might not be perfectly flat, as in my case. Before, I used to fit some spacers underneath my workpiece. You can buy them quite cheap and they come in different thicknesses, so theoretically it works. But all this is a long process. You have to make all the adjustments after you pour the resin. And because the resin is not that liquid and it takes some seconds to flatten, you need to stay there, do a lot of steps, readjust, and also inhale all the toxic fumes, especially if you don't have a proper venting. This also doesn't work if you are pouring epoxy into a bigger flexible mold, like the silicone ones, for instance. So, how to solve the issue then? Well, you need a piece of scrap wood panel. It can be anything, as long as it is flat and is bigger than your workpiece. For instance, I have here some OSB. It's actually two boards of OSB glued together. I don't remember exactly where I have them from, but nevertheless I'm not using it, so I will be using for this purpose. Then you need 4 screws and maybe, but not necessarily, a drill and an electric screwdriver. I recommend getting the screws to be at least 2 cm longer than the thickness of the chosen board. Then you need to get the screws tapped into the corners of your board. For the sake of being a bit professional, I am measuring a 3 cm distance from the edge and I am pre-drilling the holes. But again, this is not a must. You can directly tap the screws where you feel you need them, as close as possible to the corners of the board. Now, the proof of concept. As you can see, the board is quite inclined, right? Seems that this side is much higher. So, by screwing or unscrewing the screws in the corners, you can actually lift or drop the working board height till you reach a perfect level. Well, at least perfect based on the calibration of your tools. That is not always perfect. But here comes actually the huge advantage of this extremely simple concept. And let me show you the practical use case. Now I have already sealed the backside of my chessboard and prepared the colored epoxy to be poured here. So let's do it together. By the way, I would like to show you the top of the chessboard, but I have agreed with the customer that I will publish the video only after I give him the board, which didn't happen yet. I can show you though a corner of it, and I suggest subscribing to the channel and activate the notifications. Next video I will show you how I built step by step this chessboard out of bamboo decking scraps and epoxy. Now, coming back to the idea of our video today, you can see that even after I level my board based on the digital level, the corner on the left is a bit lower than the corner on the right. After adjusting a bit the level using the screws in the corners, you can see the epoxy mass movement. And now you can have a closer look and see how perfect is the pour in the gap that I had to fill and how well is the level of the epoxy aligned with the edges of my board. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and that you will find this simple trick useful in your small epoxy projects. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and support the creator.